Hey everybody, it's Elizabeth with World Cup of Joe, Awaken Your Soul. I wanted to talk today about something extremely personal, but I'm sure many of you can relate, and I wanted you to know that you're not alone in it, and it's the dark night of the soul. Anyone who's gone through the dark night of the soul will know exactly what it is. They will know exactly how I felt when I describe it. If you haven't experienced one, that's okay. The dark night of the soul is really an opportunity. Look at it as an opportunity, despite it being probably the most traumatic experience, emotional experience you'll ever feel. It is essentially an opportunity for rebirth of your soul. It's pretty extraordinary, and it's something that when you look back after it happens, you'll be grateful that it happened. All of the pain, all of the angst, all of the anxiety, all of the trauma that you experienced emotionally would have propelled you to the most unattainable heights that you wouldn't have been able to gain without it. So that's why I say it was unattainable. It was unattainable without that dark night of the soul. The dark night of the soul made it attainable. So my dark night of the soul occurred when my TF left. And let me just preface this by saying my TF, my person, and I are in union right now. We are very happy, the happiest we've ever been. But I needed the dark night of my soul to make that even possible. So I will back up and say I left home one day to take my kids to their father's house. The journey was about an hour away. And when I left, I had this feeling that something wasn't right. You know, we're one soul, so I can feel it. I didn't know what it was. I was in a bad mood that day. I had not gone through any kind of transformation at the time. I was still completely asleep. And I left my house and I just knew something was wrong. And I actually had some back pain that day, and I was thinking maybe I should just turn around, go home, keep my kids for the weekend, not have them go to their dad's, because something's not right. And I'll just tell my person that, you know, my back was bothering me, which it was, and that's why I didn't take my kids to their dad's. But instead I ignored that feeling and I continued driving. And when I came home, there was a letter in my door, and my person and I lived together at this time. And I had this feeling, this moment I saw that envelope in my door, I knew something was wrong. And my stomach dropped. And I got out of my car and I was like, please let me hear dogs barking. Please let me hear dogs barking, because the dogs were his. And I knew if I heard them barking, then everything was okay and they were still there and he was still there. But something told me he wasn't there. And we had lived together at this point. And I grabbed the envelope from my door, opened it, and the first letters I saw were Dear Elizabeth. And I knew it was him. I opened the door and everything of his was gone. I was only gone for 2 hours to drop my kids off, an hour there, an hour back, and everything of his in my home was gone. I dropped to the floor. I read the letter from him, basically telling me that the way our relationship was at the time was not healthy. And anyone in a TF relationship knows that toxicity that the addictive push-pull behavior can bring, and ours hadn't been healthy. And I knew that. He knew that. It was tense all the time. I won't go into that, but he left and I was shattered. And he told me in the letter, don't try to reach out to him for the next few days because his phone would be off. So I immediately went into addictive mode. I started calling every hotel around me. I started driving. I didn't know where I was driving. I didn't know where I was going, but I needed to find him. How could he have turned his phone off? How could he leave me? And I couldn't get a hold of him for 3 days. Those 3 days were going to be like torture. I mean, you guys know. an hour away from your TF, and your person at times could be torture. Here I have to go 3 days before I could find out why he left. I was in hell. I was literally in hell. My mind would not stop. I couldn't stop crying. I couldn't stop rereading his letter. My back pain that had started intensified, and I know that was a physical blockage it was an emotional blockage that was showing up in physical form, because within that week, him leaving, my emotional chaos that ensued also brought with it the worst physical pain I'd ever experienced. My back pain turned so bad that I had to get taken by an ambulance off my bed. I couldn't even walk. The pain was so bad. I'd never been like that. I had to go to the emergency room. So it was like this emotional and physical culmination of pain that was so intense. I just couldn't even get out of bed. I was a ball of nerves, of wreck. I couldn't concentrate and focus for my children. I felt horrible. I felt guilt, but I was dead inside. I didn't know how I was going to survive. How could I survive my person leaving me? How could I do this by myself? How could I manage? I was a wreck. And anyone who's gone through this journey with their person will know exactly what I'm talking about. I didn't feel like I could go on. And like I said, there is hope. There is hope, because that period, that week turned into a couple of months of me really wanting to find myself, to love myself, to never have to experience that kind of pain again. And I started my journey. That is when I woke up. That is my birth. That is the birth of my soul. Because from there, I was okay with finding myself and loving myself. I've always been very in touch with myself, in tune with myself. I just was still asleep. But I was okay with examining my flaws and my faults and really trying to figure out what I could have done better. So this was my awakening. This was my opportunity, and I seized it. I didn't retreat, even though I wanted to. It made me stronger, and it made me realize I needed to do something so that I didn't have to wake up crying, hysterical, sobbing all the time. I didn't want my children to have to continue to see me sobbing, hysterical. They'd seen far too much of that. The whole TF journey, originally, before we had even broken up, I was always a wreck. I was always crying. I was always sad, and I didn't know why, because I loved my person so much. But it's that chaos. It's that addictiveness. So I can honestly say I am in union. I'm no longer addictive. The triggers that would have set me off before, I have managed them. I do not even go there. If there's a trigger, I don't even go there. Why? I'm in soul. I want to continue to live in soul. Mind has not got me. Yeah, maybe a couple times here and there it does, but I'm immediately able to go back to soul. And that has been what has kept us together. That has been what's kept us happy. That has kept me being in peace. That has kept me being in peace, being in soul. So I encourage all of you that have had your dark night or that are going through your dark night, it will get better when you can find and reach soul. Let go of mind. Do anything you can to let go of mind. We are here for you on this journey. It is not easy, but it is worth it. Thank you once again. This is Elizabeth with World's Cup of Joe. Have a beautiful, amazing day, and remember to follow us. Thank you.